Hey guys, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm really excited to be sharing with you the first update in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan. This is an eyeshadow-centric project pan with the goal of just hitting as many pans of eyeshadow as I possibly can throughout all of 2020, and I am randomly selecting each of the shadows that I'm going to focus on. This was inspired by my friend Alexi. She did Pan Those Eyeshadows in 2017 and 2018, and then in 2019 I kind of did my own spin on it, and I had so much fun with it. I had to do it again this year. Now I have kind of tweaked my rules, so if you didn't see the introduction to this project, I highly suggest that you go and watch that. So not only can you see my rules, but you can also see all of the shades that I selected and kind of see where they were before today's update. However, I will of course have progress pictures to share with you guys, but otherwise I am so excited to just hop into all of my progress, so let's just get on into it. The first shadow that I randomly drew came from this palette right here. This is the Blush Tribe Blossom palette, and the shade that I randomly selected is this one on the top row called Carnation. In the pan, it honestly looks like a very beautiful like terracotta clay kind of red shade. But on the eyes, I feel like it translates to be very vibrant red. Now I have already swatched it here, and even on my hands, it does pull a little bit more neutral, but on my eyes, it is extremely vibrant in my opinion. So I've only reached for this 5 times over this past month because I do feel like it is quite a statement. But I've been playing around with it and have been enjoying it for when I'm kind of feeling a more warm look or more of a bold look. It is a beautiful palette. I'm happy to be reaching for the palette just in general, but it will take me quite some time to be able to hit pan on that shade in particular for sure. My next pick came from this palette right here. This is the Revolution Sofex Extra Spice palette. The shadow that I randomly drew from this palette is Chocolate Orange. This one right here, which as you can see, I did hit pan on this past month. It's a beautiful matte warm brown, which I could wear on its own as an all over like warm smoky eye, which I did a fair amount of times, or I could wear it in combination with so many other warm tones from my makeup collection. And so I got a lot of use out of it. It only took me 10 uses to hit pan on it, and I actually found myself reaching for it even after I hit pan on it this past month. So that just goes to show how much I was enjoying it. I did swatch it right here, and it, as you can see, it is a nice, just easy color. I did have to swatch this 2 to 3 times to be able to get to this opacity, so it is quite sheer. That also did help with being able to hit pan on it because I did have to build it up quite a bit, but I really enjoyed it. I found that it was very fuss-free, and it really made me play with this palette more. I reached for some of the metallics and the mattes in here and really did enjoy playing with this, so I'm happy to have had it in the project, but I'm also happy to be rolling something else in its place. My next pick came from the Nabla Sol Blooming palette. This is such a stunning palette. I'm so happy that this is a part of this project pan. And the shadow that I selected was one of the more challenging ones in this palette for sure. It's this one right here called Flowery. It's this like dusty periwinkle kind of shade, and as you can see, no evidence of pan yet, not even a major dip. However, I did reach for it 5 times this past month, which I feel like is really good considering it is such a unique shade. I am wearing it today mostly in my crease and a little bit on my lid just to kind of blend into the other shadows that I have there, but it's such a gorgeous shade. It's something that I didn't really play with before this project pan, but I have been really enjoying using and kind of seeing how I compare it with other shadows from my collection, but especially from the shadows that I do have in this project as well. So as you can see here, it's another matte shade, and it does have quite a bit of impact. This was actually 2 swatches just built up on top of each other, but it is such a beautiful color, and I'm really happy to be reaching for it. I don't know if it's something that I will end up working towards hitting pan on, or if it's something that I'll just use for my first 3 months of this project and then roll it out. We'll kind of see as the time approaches, but so far really enjoying using it and using the palette as a whole, so happy to have it in the project. My next eyeshadow came from this big huge palette right here. This is the Anastasia Norvina Volume 1 palette, and there are a lot of nice neutrals in here. There are some nice metallics I could have chosen from this palette, or had chosen for me from this palette. And yet I got this shade right here, which is called A5. It's that like electric neon pink magenta shade. So I've only reached for it twice in this project pan, to be honest, guys. I reached for it today. I mixed it in with that flowery shade on the outer portion of my eyes, and I do really like the way that it looks. and I only reached for it one other time. I don't know. It's a very challenging color. It's also a large palette, so I don't really think to reach for this, but that shade is a little bit daunting for me. So I definitely need to amp up my amounts of use to be able to roll this out of this project. I have to use it for at least 3 months and 15 uses to qualify to take it out of the project pan. So I do really need to use it maybe like 10 more times this month in order to roll it out. But it's difficult. It's a really difficult shade to integrate into looks. And this is with one swatch right here. I just picked up the pigment on my ring finger, swiped it across, and kind of just worked it into the skin. But you can see just how vibrant this color is. So it's something that even with like 20 or 30 uses, I doubt that I'll be able to hit pan on because it's so unbelievably pigmented, and it's not often that I'm going in for like a full-on just hot pink eye look. So it's definitely a challenge. And the final shade that I've been working on is this beautiful single by Clionadh Cosmetics. This is the shade Crystalline, which is this beautiful sheer metallic shade. It's very shifty. It has like kind of periwinkle, a little bit lilac, a little bit of blue kind of reflect to it. It's so stunning and very dynamic. It is what I'm wearing all over the entirety of my lid in combination with the other two shadows from this project pan. Here's a swatch of it too. You can see how well it works in with this color story. So I'm happy that I drew it now because it is quite a unique shade. And I do definitely think that I will get burnt out by it eventually, but in tandem with all of these shades, it does work very well. I only used it 4 times, however, because it is so unique and it is so bold. It's not really something that I often want to wear to class or to work. It is quite a loud eyeshadow, but when I'm going out on the weekends, I have had quite a bit of fun with this shade. I'm also really enjoying that it gives me an excuse to reach for some of my singles. I have them set aside in this magnetic palette. However, I did drop this palette one day, and this was the only shadow that ended up kind of shattering from there. So I did end up having to crush up the product and repress it just with a paper towel. I didn't add any alcohol or anything, but now it looks completely new again, basically. So this is going to take me quite some time to be able to hit pan on. I don't think I will roll this out of the project because it is very beautiful and I do really want to get more use out of it, but we'll see how the next couple months go. If I do end up getting burnt out by this, then maybe it will be something I roll out. So because I ended up hitting pan on one of the eyeshadows that I selected last month, I will be rolling something new into this project pan in its place. I have 265 eligible eyeshadows for my makeup collection, so that means I have 265 eyeshadows that are either not a part of my Pan That palette or don't have any pan in them yet that I'm going to be randomly selecting from. So we're just going to draw that number right now. And I got number 225. The new addition to this project pan comes from this palette right here. This is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, which is a very frequent palette in this project pan. Last year I selected 4 shadows from this to work on, and the shadow that I selected is actually one of them that I was working on last year and didn't hit pan on right before my last update. So the shadow that I'm going to be working on yet again is this shade right here called Wanderlust. It's this beautiful deep green shade. It is a metallic, which I'm happy about, but it is quite a smoky shade. It's not really an everyday kind of color for me, but I do love my greens, so I'm sure I can make it work and have some fun with it. I am happy that I'll be reaching for this palette as a whole, but I do think this will be a bit of a challenge for me. Either way, I am happy to be working on it, and I'm happy to not get another matte to work on. At least it's a metallic. So far, I have been really enjoying doing this project pan again. I think it's just such a fun way to reach for palettes that I might not otherwise, and I can really rotate through my makeup collection this way. However, I'm gonna be challenged by the color story that I do have for this coming month. I'm really not too sure that I'll be able to hit pan on anything for my next update, but we shall just wait and see. Hopefully I surprise myself. Thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.